Hello there, my amazing friend. As always, I just love your curiosity, your humility, and willingness to learn a little bit more about yourself and others around you. And this week's question is just awesome. One of you asked, what are some relationship red flags? And to that, I'll also add, how about some relationship green flags? But before I give you 3 of each, can I just give you a soft but kind of important warning? Don't weaponize this information. And what I mean by that is, don't take some of these red flags and beat people over the head with them. It would be like me telling you that I struggle with insecurity, or that I feel like I'm not very good with people, or I'm terrible at math, or I'm not very athletic, or whatever, and then you using that information as a weapon against me with statements like, geez, if you weren't so insecure, we could just have so much fun, or I wish I knew somebody that was good at math right about now, or why are you so antisocial with people? You get the idea. Don't use the things that people tell you in confidence and then sarcastically and in some unthoughtful way jab them in the ribs or poke them in the eyes with it. Listen, the way you interact with people in this life, that skill, your ability to express, discuss, negotiate, collaborate, argue, work through a problem, and be honest with others is a critical skill, potentially the most critical skill. One that if you commit to staying humble and keep learning and practicing, it will be one of the most important, if not the most important skill you will need to learn in this life. So I'm glad that you are here. The purpose of this short podcast is to help you be awesome in relationships. It may also help you to know when you're in a relationship that's not very good for you, and that perhaps it may give you the courage and wisdom to separate from that individual and give them some time to grow and mature. All right, are you ready? Relationship red flag number 1. Hitting, pushing, pinching, forcing, swearing, name-calling, ridiculing, demeaning, and constantly being critical of someone are serious red flags. Basically, what I'm describing to you are signs of physical, verbal, and emotional abuse. These are blatant signs of disrespect. If you're engaging in these kinds of behaviors, please, you don't need to be defensive or prove anything to me. Just realize that you're literally killing the relationship you're in. These are serious things that can harm people and that will ultimately create tremendous unhappiness in yours and in other people's lives. If you need help stopping these behaviors, start doing the work right now, or find someone that you trust and say, hey, I need a little help. Like, I'm hurting the people I care about and I have to stop. There are parents, counselors, therapists, religious leaders, family members that would be more than happy to help you. If you're in a relationship where this is happening, my humble suggestion for you is to separate. You may need help to do this, and your parents, siblings, or other trusted adults are just the people who can help you to think through how to make this happen in a safe but decisive manner. People who are caught up in abusive behaviors like this need time to grow. They need time to mature. They need experience and time to heal from their own fears, their own insecurity, and maybe even their own trauma. You can still care for them, be a friend to them, and cheer them on, but you're going to do it from the shoreline instead of jumping into the deep water with them and trying to rescue them while they're drowning you. I'm not trying to tell you to be insensitive or unkind or unloving. I believe in all people, and I'm hopeful about everyone regardless of their past or circumstance, and I'm willing to help, but I also have some boundaries, and I suggest that you make some as well. Relationship red flag number 2. If you dread being with this person. So I told my amazing wife today that I was going to be doing this short podcast about relationship red flags, and I asked her what was one for her, and that's what she told me. She said, if you dread being with that person, that's a red flag. Honestly, at first I thought she was probably talking about me, and maybe she was, but I think that maybe she was referring to some relationships, maybe, that she had early on in her life where she dreaded being with those people, but she felt stuck, manipulated, and didn't want to hurt their feelings. So if you're constantly dreading being with that person, or feeling guilty, or worried about what's going to be like with that person, you're probably living this red flag, which doesn't mean that you don't have good times or good memories, and sometimes they're awesome. And by the way, that's what's keeping you there. But if you're feeling afraid or not motivated to be with that person, or you feel unsafe or unhappy with them, buddy, this is a sign that this relationship is not what you're looking for. I need you to know that it is your job to pick the people who come and stay in your life. Your job is to choose, and choose you must absolutely do. And if you dread being with this person, are fearful of being with this person, if you're unhappy with this person, if you feel stuck with this person, there can only be one possible solution for you, no matter how painful and challenging. This relationship needs to finish. It needs to end. It's time to try something different. You know what I'm saying? Okay, relationship red flag number 3. If the person you're with is constantly blaming you, guilting you, critiquing you, forcing you to do things you don't want to do, isolating you from your friends or family, or trying to manipulate you physically or emotionally, I'm sorry, but you're living this relationship red flag. Healthy relationships liberate us. They inspire us. Supportive girlfriends and boyfriends encourage each other to connect with family, with friends. They like you for who you are and aren't constantly trying to change you. They don't guilt you every time you're away from them or spending time with family or friends. They're not constantly critiquing you. They don't try to guilt you into spending time with them or continuing to be with them, or they'll harm themselves or be more depressed. These are all forms of attempting to control another person in an effort to feel better themselves. My dear friend, if you can see some of these behaviors in yourself, and it's okay if you do, just realize that you're operating from within this red flag. And in the end, you'll only end up hurting yourself, hurting the other person, and most likely pushing away the very thing that you're trying to keep. Look, the list of red flags can be large. I just don't have the time to include everything, and honestly, I would bore you to tears. I really just wanted to give you some of the basics, or the ones that I feel are the most critical. I didn't mention being disloyal or cheating, but I certainly could have. And those would certainly fit within that category of being disrespectful to the person you're with. So can we briefly talk about the green flag? Okay, green flag number 1. This person treats you with respect, with friendship, kindness, and consideration in their word and in their actions. Look, there's a lot you have to learn about having really awesome relationships. I am 47. I've been married for 24 years, and I'm not ashamed to say that I'm still learning, man. And you know what? I'm going to keep learning for the rest of my life. So I want you to realize that becoming a relationship master instead of a relationship disaster is a process that takes time and attention. So chillax and settle in. Did I just say chillax? That's embarrassing. These are relationship basics. Any relationship that is looking to be fun, inspiring, liberating, safe, and pretty much awesome must abide and build upon that foundation. There is no substitute here. No six-pack or level of coolness or any other characteristic can replace basic care, concern, kindness, and respect in a relationship. Remember that and make a commitment today, right now, to be this kind of individual. And by the way, not just with your boyfriend or girlfriend, but with everyone. Because if you're in a relationship with someone who is constantly disrespectful, critical, mean, and demeaning of others, guess where those behaviors will ultimately end up? Yeah, on your lap. Okay, green flag number 2. You really love being with this person. So by now, you're probably noticing a little bit of a pattern here, which of course is that the green flags are the opposite of the red flags. And honestly, that sounds just about right to me, doesn't it to you? So if you find yourself really excited to be with this person, happy to be with them, looking forward to being with them, not only is that a sign that you're really liking this person, that this is probably a pretty cool relationship for you. Now, sometimes relationships start this way, but they end up, turning up a little sour when they're faced with some challenges. I remember that this was one of my wife's favorite things about me. She used to tell me, man, Yuri, I just never get sick of you. Isn't that just sweet of her? I honestly don't know why. I seriously annoy myself. But thankfully for me, she really just loved hanging out and being with me. If you find a relationship like that, stick with it. Give it a little time and reap the benefits of a really cool relationship. Green flag number 3. A good boyfriend or girlfriend gives you wings. Kind of like Red Bull, right? Red Bull gives you wings. I know that that's super dorky and maybe a little cliche, but it's true. Like when you're in a healthy relationship, you will feel more confident, more motivated to do well, more inspired, and many times even more creative. Positive relationships have the ability to inspire happiness and diminish your suffering and sadness. I'm telling you, relationships can be magical. And that is why I'm spending this time with you right now, to help you to recognize some relationships relationship behaviors and patterns that are not helpful and at times pretty unhealthy, but also to inspire you, to give you some tips on how to become a little bit better in relationships yourself. Anyways, I hope these have been somewhat interesting to you. I loved the question, and I hope that all of you will keep asking these amazing questions. Anyways, what do you think? What are some red and green flags that you've either observed in other relationships or even in your own? Either way, be watchful, be open, be teachable, and be ready to learn from the happiness and sometimes even from the misery of others.